Hakim. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there's no God beside them. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit, and salutations to the elect, whom the Most High have given ears to hear. And today's lesson is going to be, how long, O Lord, / the advancement of CBDC, otherwise known as central bank digital currencies. Right? And we'll just start off with this, 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before, even from the beginning. And speaking of the days that were before this time, in the time of Yahweh Shai, he broke it down as to the events that would play out prior to his returning to deliver us. All right, and as written, earthquakes and uproars of the people. All right, which you have nowadays, major earthquakes up in North Africa, Turkey, thousands upon thousands is being made unalive. Another thing you have in the news is a war, which, contrary to, is not just any war, right? It's the war that's going to lead to World War III, right? Whereas the scriptures speak about how the Valley of Jehoshaphat, it speaks about the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the Valley of Armageddon. All right, it's going to play out in the Middle East, in the land of Israel, around that area, Israel, Turkey, Syria, Saudi Arabia, right? And it's not going to die down. However, it's not necessarily going to erupt into nuclear missiles being shot off, because as we measure the times, we know that nuclear missiles represent the end of the end. But before the end of the end can come, we have to remember the major prophecy of Revelations 13, verse 16. As a matter of fact, Revelations 13, verse 16 is what's going to cause the end of the end. All right. Revelations 13 and 16, we can grab it. But you know what? Let me jump over here. Matthew 24, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. And as you see, it goes into how we shall be delivered up to be afflicted. All right. We just read in 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter. There shall be uproars of the people. All right, which we see all around the world, because these wars are creating a hellish lifestyle for them. All right. And then, like I said, in the midst of that, we got to remember the heavy prophecy of Revelation 13, verse 16, where as it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. All right. And if you've been watching the news, you know, even the devil Yuval Noah Harari said, a spokesman of the WEF, he said that they want to sit inside the people, meaning they want to rule over you. And a device that's going to do that is something known as an RFID chip, which in the eastern part of the world, in Europe, is called an NFC chip, right? Whereas right now, when you look at the news, it's used in paraplegics. I believe the Elon Musk, I forgot his foundation, Neuralink, they're using it as far as on animals, to allow them to control things with their minds. All right. But essentially, they want to create a situation where you won't be able to buy or sell, all right, unless you have this RFID chip. So, in that being said, we have to look at what's going on in the world besides the wars. Well, in addition to the wars, all right, that fits this prophecy. And that should lead you to what's known as a CBDC. Right? Now, a CBDC is an acronym for a central bank digital currency. All right? And some news that's happening today is, so let me just play this TikTok.
So let's see what the latest is going on in the CBDC world. If you guys aren't familiar with the CBDC, it's a central bank digital currency, basically meaning that countries are going to be cashless. And they've been working on this since 2019. So this is the latest news we have. The Chinese CBDC was used for the first time to settle cross-border oil deals. So why is this really important? I mean, it's China, right? Well, if this is successful and countries realize that this is simple, this makes sense, this uses less energy, takes less work, more countries are going to hop on board with it. So as we see more and more things like this happen with the CBDC and they happen successfully, more and more countries are getting on board with the idea of having a CBDC, which means that your cash may be worth nothing pretty soon. So let's see what the latest is going on in the CBDC world.
Right. And if your cash is worth nothing, then you're gonna have to look for a new system. Now, in lieu of what he said, all right, this is the article going into it, where it says CBDC and de-dollarization saw major strides last week when the 1 million barrel deal on the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange. The digital yuan has been used for the first time to settle an oil transaction, the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange announced. PetroChina International bought 1 million barrels of crude on October 19th. The transaction was a response to a call by the Shanghai Municipal Party Committee and municipal government to apply the Chinese central bank digital currency, also referred to as the ECNY, to international trade. The exchange said it is another major step forward for the digital yuan, according to the state-controlled China Daily. The seller and the price in the transaction were not disclosed. For comparison, the price of the OPEC basket of oil from 13 producers was $95.72 per barrel. The crude oil deal also marks an overall major step in the use of the yuan on the international market and in the global movement toward de-dollarization. And when you look at China, China is one of the major economies, one of the major countries involved in the BRICS organization, which under the BRICS, you have a lot of people signing on to them. All right, getting away from the dollar. So essentially, the more people that sign on to them, the more people, are going to have to, acclimate themselves, all right, to doing business with the yuan, right? And I seen another article Well, as it says, right here it says, the IMF says global interest in CBDC unprecedented already helped 30 countries, right? So everybody's looking for a new form of payment, an easier form of payment. It says, yesterday, Bo Lee, the deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, described the level of interest in central bank digital currencies as unprecedented. 40 countries have approached the IMF for assistance, and it has engaged with almost 30. The IMF sees one of his roles as CBDC capacity development. It releases a paper around what it's learned so far and plans to develop a CBDC handbook to support its efforts. The 20-chapter handbook is funded by Japan, and it will release 4 or 5 chapters per year. Which kind of makes sense too, because this stuff was trying to get everything going within the next 5 to 7 years. So it says one of the key takeaways is the various motivations for CBDC interest, with countering the interest in crypto assets coming top of the list. And I made that statement because they're constantly talking about Agenda 2030. All right. It says for advanced economies, the driver include managing central bank involvement in digital payment systems, enhancing payment competition, and supporting tokenization. In contrast, emerging and developing economies see financial inclusion as a major factor. Demand for help from the IMF is sufficiently great that it has to prioritize what it works on. It will target systematically important countries and those fast-tracking CBDC work, but with risks such as capacity constraints or weak regulation. Now it says regional requests for IMF CBDC, Africa, Asia Pacific, America, Middle East. Which when you look at it, these are a lot amongst the biggest economies, in which once they get on board, others will have no choice. And when they lock it down, they can teach their those whom they support. But it says the IMF wants to continue its work with other international bodies, while the BIS, which stands for Bank of International Settlements, is considered a major global player when it comes to CBDC. The IMF noted that the BIS does not directly serve the majority of EMDEs, developing economies. Our takeaway is that compared to the BIS, the IMF will have a different emphasis with a greater focus on financial inclusion. It is also more wary of the risk of foreign CBDCs and digital currencies regarding dollarization and the inability of some countries to control funds moving out of the country. That could directly impact the repayment of IMF loans. And when you look at it, this will also directly bring on a prophecy as far as uproars of the people. Because the CBDCs, when you look over in China, it comes with a lot of restrictions. Whereas you can't make money on the side, you can't make money under the table, and everything you do will be watched. It will get taxed. I've seen another one. Right, where it says IMF provides central bank blueprint for CBDC decisions. So it says the IMF has published a detailed decision-making framework for implementing central banks' digital currencies. It covers every phase of the process. All right, pretty much just read this. Let me see. External factors. Right, and as you see, these are pretty short articles. So we'll read through. It says external factors in CBDC decisions. Hence, the framework depends on a strong understanding of the external factors that might draw economies toward a CBDC. For advanced economies, the most important motivations typically include payment competitiveness and accessibility, and ensuring the future effectiveness and autonomy of monetary policy and digitized economies. But again, when you look at other countries that's doing it and are successful at it, it makes the ones that's on the fence, it's like a selling point. As a matter of fact, when you go to, I seen an article. Well, let's finish this off. Because it says, the report highlighted the case of Israel, where the persistent decline in cash transactions could lead to growing penetration of stablecoins or other private payment means. This could impair payment competitiveness and impact the transmission of monetary policy. As a result of currency substitution, many developing and emergency market economies already suffer from ineffective monetary policies. The widespread adoption of crypto assets and the potential for a foreign issued CBDC by the US or the Euro area would only exacerbate this international pressure. That's the case even for some advanced economies such as Canada. Although not mentioned in this report, cultural attitude is a key Although not mentioned in this report, cultural attitude is a key factor that could play a significant role. In CBDC issuance. For example, the US, UK, and parts of Eastern Europe have already seen significant anti-CBDC movements. Again, going into the scriptures, there should be uproars of the people. It says cultural attitude. It says US, UK, have already seen significant anti-CBDC. However, international studies have already identified a strong CBDC appetite in developing economies currently served by the IMF. Let's see what this is talking about. Which they not too much worried about those that want to protest against the CBDCs, because all they got to do, which I was just watching the elder earlier, the elder Ayathun, he was going into how there will be cyber attacks, and then he brought out the famous quote. I want to say it was by Hillary Clinton or Rahm Emanuel, but amongst these rulers of the people, they say never let a crisis go to waste. All right, which I personally believe, when this next blackout happens, however they do it with an EMP and they blame it on Iran, they can kill two birds in one stone, but they can only do that if they have a solution, when they turn the lights back on. All right, so, this, I say that to say, this development of these CBDCs, will bring on a lot of pain in this world, but also will bring us closer to the kingdom, right? Because as I just mentioned, this will bring on the RFID chip, which will bring on World War III, which will bring Yahushua to save us. So it says the IMF advised that a CBDC, the IMF advised that a CBDC must be planned based on more than short-term motivations. For example, we observe that some countries want to reduce the cost of distributing physical cash. That's the case for several Caribbean countries as well as India. Though compelling, the short-term motivation for CBDCs are likely to change. Now it says measuring CBDC potential. The report suggests several KPIs to assess the ability of the financial sector. So let's see, what's that word KPI mean? It says key performance indicators. Okay. So it says the report suggests several key performance indicators to assess the ability of financial sector to adjust to CBDC issuance during trials. These include the number of active accounts, transaction volumes, and adoption rates among merchants and target populations. It's tempting to rely on KPIs, but the IMF suggests there is also a need for qualitative analysis to assess adoptable potential. Which, let me read this other article where it says Ripple to power Georgia's central bank digital currency, the digital lari. All right, now it says the National Bank of Georgia has selected blockchain payments network Ripple Labs as the official technology partner for developing digital lari. All right, it says in a statement, Ripple said the partnership would include deploying digital lari pilot initiative through the Ripple CBDC platform. The NBG will utilize this innovative CBDC platform to evaluate potential applications of the digital lari, determining its advantage to the government sector, enterprise, and individual retail users. Before being designed as the NBG's technology partner, Ripple underwent a thorough and meticulous selection procedure. In September, the NBG disclosed its intentions to advance its CBDC's project, introducing a limited access live pilot environment. Let's see. It says, right, the NBG, which stands for the National Bank of Georgia, chose 9 firms for their technological prowess, maturity, capability, relevant background, and eagerness to participate in a practical assessment. Ripple was included alongside Argentic, Bits Inc., Proxys, Currency Network, DCM Corp., and others. The selection committee considered various factors, including comprehension of the project's objectives, its potential applications, and a solid dedication to the project's success. In July, Ripple received recognition from Currency Research for its contribution to digital currency advancement and Best Sustainability Initiative, particularly for its role in fostering innovation in the realm of CBDC. Right? So as we go back to the other article, which Lord willing not be a success because it'll kind of like quell the skepticism. Whereas it says measuring CBDC's potential, the report suggests several KPIs to assess the ability of the financial sector to adjust to CBDC issuance during trials. These include the number of active accounts, transaction volumes, and adoption rates. Right? So at the success of Georgia, the National Bank of Georgia, and other ones that's going to sign on, all right, it'll cause the IMF to also want to use Ripple, right? Which a lot of people are looking into Ripple as the next best thing. And Lord willing, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, it works out, because the faster they can get this done is the faster we can get out of here. So it says in July, did I read this? Yeah, it says before the partnerships with the NBG for the digital lari project, Ripple had proactively aligned itself with organizations seeking to delve into CBDC implementations. Ripple previously joined forces with Colombia's central bank, Banco de la República, to investigate blockchain technology applications in its digital pesos pilot by leveraging the Ripple CBDC platform. Right? So, as this devil knows that he has but a short time, he's looking for the most advanced CBDC company that can do the job. All right, and it's looking like Ripple is moving pretty quickly. It was actually, let me play this for brothers.
If you guys aren't familiar,
There's actually a commercial. Is it this one?
There you go. Wall Street is saying if you buy $10,000 worth of Ripple shares right now.
Damn, I just seen that. Okay, here it is.
A $10 trillion industry. Listen.
The macro environment around custody digital assets is expected to be close to $10 trillion by the year 2030. And inevitably, people are going to need a place to store those assets, and safe, secure, and they're going to need to be able to transfer them as well, having good on and off ramps, even a tokenization engine, some of the work Ripple is doing around central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. So we think there's a lot of pieces that come together, and we already had, and I remember when you and I first spoke, I remember being on a call with one of the largest top 10 banks in the world, and a bank Ripple was already working with, and they were asking us about could we help them with their custody. This is prior to the Medico acquisition, and we weren't in a position to do that. And so when we think about that synergy, the ability to say to that existing Ripple customer, hey, here's a best in class, going head to head time and time again and winning on the custody level, to be able to bring that product to them, I think is a great opportunity for the two companies together. So
now what you want to keep in mind is that $10 trillion by 2030 is only on the custody solution side. This does not include cross-border payments, which Ripple has already said that by 2027, they expect it to be a $25 trillion market, on top of unlocking the $27 trillion that's locked up in Nostro Bosco accounts. I'm going to tell y'all right now, y'all have to know what you hold. Ripple's newest commercial, they just dropped.
finance.
Let me add, this is not a I'm not trying to sell anything. This is this is a channel based upon the scriptures. All right. Teaching you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all right, the ways of salvation through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, and marrying what you see in the world today with the scriptures. All right, as the scriptures say, you take heed, roughly paraphrasing, we have a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well if you take heed. All right. It's cute, people signing on the Ripple, so he happy, he about to get his coins up. Nevertheless, if you take that RFID chip, you're going to receive a missile. All right? We must wait on Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. That's the most important. All right? The scriptures is constant scriptures that speak about man's life is not in what he possesses. All right? Have faith in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. He shall sustain thee. All right? So this is most important, to know these intricacies that the world essentially has forgotten at this point in time.
Has always been slow to evolve, but real progress is happening all around you. Like money that moves as fast as
global markets that never close,
and efficiency that moves finance at the speed of business today.
So forward-thinking enterprises,
financial institutions, and governments can move forward faster.
It's happening now, and it's ready for those
who are ready
to make change.
So, are you on the right side of progress?
And this is why we know what we hold and we.
Right. So this is Proverbs chapter 21, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. All right, he's turning the king's heart into pushing that MOTB so that he can essentially nuke this place. All right, as this place pushes more behavior, the end thereof has to be a fire and brimstone, just like in the times of old. Right, and those RFID chips, or the mark of the beast, as is written of in the scriptures, is going to be the icing on the cake, as they say. All right, but let me finish off with this scripture, right? Because again, as I mentioned, this is most important. This is most important, This is 2 Peter 1:19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy. We can find prophecy in the scriptures, which is given to us by Yahweh Shai. As a matter of fact, according to Revelation 19:10, it says the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. You see, Yahweh Shai, all right, which is this Bible, his spirit is in this Bible, is speaking. All right, let's just speak about how this Lord's words were not to return it to him void. So we gotta know that what comes after, this RFID chip, nuclear missiles, what comes after that, or in the midst of it rather. All right, the salvation of the lowly, of the destitute. You can't buy or sell. You're gonna be lowly and destitute. You're gonna need help. Hell, you take that. You take that chip, you're gonna need help. How much more those that don't take it? We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star rise in your hearts. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scriptures is of any private interpretation, for the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. So call Allah to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai for allowing me to do another lesson. I pray Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai speeds this thing up, and more importantly, that we not fall prey to this devil's devices. So with that, shalom to the elect.